All right, good morning, guys. I'm going to get started a little quick here today because I am running a little bit behind. My apologies. There's some data that was rolling in, though. I wanted to make sure that I saw it before I jumped on here because I know some of you may ask some questions. And then, of course, we'll keep you guys updated throughout the day today on our newscast. And I'll be here tomorrow, and I'll be here on Friday morning, too. So I'll be able to keep you guys updated on our morning blog routine. Okay, so let's get right into it because there's several things that I want to bring to your attention. We'll start with the snowboard today. Now, it has changed slightly, and what has changed on it has been mainly just time periods we're going to be watching for early next week. All right, so I'm going to separate the snow setup for tonight, any snow that could mix in. I'll explain that situation in a second. Otherwise, we're still watching Saturday night for that Clipper snow that moves in. Monday's trying to sneak back in, but will it? We'll take a look at that. And later next week, light rain or snow. You got to keep in mind, this is a pattern that is not one that can produce big events, whether it's rain or snow. They're going to be minor because all of our systems are rolling in from Canada, not coming in from Texas or Alabama, where usually we get a lot of moisture that moves in, and they're moving too fast. So you're not going to look at a big system anytime soon. But these little ones, you got to really watch. They can be really sneaky when they move into the area, especially when it comes to light snow around our area. We notice that we run into more problems with that more often than not. Okay, I'll explain coming up. Here's a live look at Ollie at the moment, the drop-off point. It's been steady. It was busier this morning, but not too bad at the moment. Let's check out and see where we are on delays across the lower 48. Looking good. All the connecting hubs out of Louisville, no problems. Atlanta, usually that can cause a backup, right? Miami is looking a little better than what it did yesterday. And the big cities in the Northeast are looking good as well. The only travel delays that may show up on the airlines may be, say, Kansas City, maybe St. Louis or Chicago, and even Indianapolis as we head into this evening. But we're lacking a big, strong system here. So a lot of the connecting hubs should be in fine shape. And there's no big thunderstorms that a lot of these planes have to fly around. So that's good. It's not a bad setup. And if you're traveling on the road and you're watching right now in the passenger seat, watching the landmarks go by and you're heading to a different state, just note that the still looking at a light rain scenario for much of the region, a little bit of snow to the north later on tonight. At the moment, we're all above freezing. Temperatures in the mid 40s at the moment. We're going to hit 50 today easily, it looks like, before we see the thermometers slide back down again as soon as the air saturates. It's trying to do that now. As we talked about yesterday, we're going to see some green blips on the radar at this time, but a lot of that was going to have a tough time reaching the ground. That's still the case. But as the day evolves in a very random fashion, you're going to start seeing more reports of some light rain reaching the windshields as you're driving around town. You'll notice some light showers beginning to pop. Again, spotty because the atmosphere will not be uniform on saturating. It will be blotchy. So that's why it's hard to put a specific rain chance for your particular location as you venture out this afternoon. But just note, a gradual increase is what we're talking about. Now, the system is getting much more organized as you head back into Missouri, into Indiana. And this is what is interesting about it, is this system is going to move fast. The track of it, and I'll show you on Futurecast in a second, but looks like it's going to be very close to Bowling Green, WKU, and just south of Lexington to about, I would say, north of Charleston, West Virginia. That looks to be the path the low will take. Now, displaced from that will be what we call a forcing band. It will develop. Futurecast will show that well here in a second. That still looks like it's going to be very close to that I-70 corridor as you travel, especially for the Indiana, Ohio portion of that. And it will begin to tilt behind the system as we hit into late tonight and may line up along the river as it leaves town by early Thanksgiving morning. It's still, even for them, looks to be a wet snow type of setup. Most of the roads will be wet, maybe some slush, but this is not an icy roads setup for even that area that will get a little thumping of some wet snow. For a lot of us, though, it will indeed be a cold rain. So let's go through it. We'll start with Futurecast, so hour by hour. This is the HER model, I believe. Decent handle. They all look very similar now. Notice that the rain chance is higher north first. For those of you in central and southern Kentucky, you actually will hold on to the drier setup outside longer than the rest of us will, but you'll eventually catch up and get in on the action too with that rain. But you see a lot of that yellow. That is the forcing band that we talked about, which will look like bright banding on the radar later on this evening. Some of that will be some moderate rain, and some of that will be a lot of melting of giant snowflakes, and the radar beam will be able to detect that. So it may look like a severe thunderstorm is breaking out into Indiana and Ohio later, but you got to keep in mind the ground truth is a little different. It's a good indicator for us, though, that there could be at least some winter weather trying to mix in when that heavier rain tries to fall. This is all about dynamic cooling more than anything that can happen as this low moves on by. But it's moving so fast, it's not a typical upper low scenario where we always call that deformation zone, not to get all technical, but sometimes you get those really big snows out of those kind of banding features like that. This is moving just way too fast. But still, if you're traveling north, much more messier than it will be to the south. Here we go, about 2:30 in the morning, late tonight. Some of you will be waking up putting that turkey in the oven, right? It should still be raining outside, a cold rain at that. That's where we'll start to see that band begin to now tilt and kind of wrap in behind the system. And that's where we're starting to get at least a signal that Seymour, North Vernon, Madison, Carrollton, Milton, Kentucky, you could get some snowflakes or ice pellets mixed in. Even in Louisville, some ice pellets could mix into our area. Sleet may be more common than the snow will be, but either way, it's going to be above freezing. So I don't want to play this up too big because a lot of you will be asleep when that is happening and you won't even notice it. So let's move it along. Throughout the day on Thanksgiving, still looks cloudy, overcast, temperatures in the 40s, patchy drizzle. Another round of drizzle looks to move in the afternoon. Creates kind of that crummy setup, but it's not an impactful type of light rain, nor the roads are going to be a mess. Just keeps it cozy. The kitchens are going to be certainly steamed up in the windows with all the cooking going on, and you get a cold, damp setup outside. You get a foggy kitchen. To me, I think that's always a cozy feeling. I remember that as a kid anyway, when the kitchens were like that and all the windows were fogged up from mom cooking. Good. Good weather for that. Good weather for watching the dog show, Macy's Day Parade, football. You're fine. What is a bit of a change here, a minor one, and I didn't put this on snowboard because it is minor, is going to be late Thanksgiving night, more likely early into Black Friday. There will be enough moisture that is coming down from Indianapolis. That's certainly for Indiana. I'm not sure yet on Kentucky. This is the piece I was waiting on that was rolling in right before the blog got started here today. There's a hint that with the air being colder now as we head into Black Friday, any small amounts of moisture instead of drizzle like we have on Thanksgiving would actually be flurries, festive flakes, if you will, with some increasing sunshine later in the day. But if you're heading out for those early deals on Friday, don't be surprised if you got a few flakes flying on by with some passing flurries in the area. We'll be near freezing, but the roads will not be impacted yet because we haven't really locked up the roads yet on cold weather. That will happen later Friday night into Saturday morning. That's when we really get those pavement temperatures down. But Friday morning, we don't have to worry about that yet. Boy, it's going to be blustery. Wind chills all day on Friday will be in the 20s. Yay. Okay, so bundle up. I hope those deals are worth it. And buy me something while you're at it. Okay, flurries continue through about, I would say, mid-morning Friday, and then we should get that sunshine to take over. Now, that could mess with the thermometer, too. I mean, Some of the data was going low to mid 40s in some cases on Friday. That's way too warm. And if we get a cloudy flurry set up Friday morning, we're not going to get to even 40. We're not even probably going to get to 35. It could be a fairly cold day on Friday. But as the sky's clear, then that allows the thermometer to drop down into the teens and 20s for Saturday morning. Again, freezing up the roads, allowing for when this clipper rolls in now out of Missouri to have the potential that any amount of moisture is going to be snow, and any flake that falls is going to stick. Doesn't look like it's going to have a lot of moisture with it, as typically the case. I still think the models are downplaying this just a tad on its potential, because if you look at it verbatim, it looks like flurries. I think it's going to be more than flurries. But is it going to be a winter storm? No. Could it be enough to coat the ground with a half inch or inch of snow in some areas, especially in central Kentucky? Yes, I do think that is possible. And that can lead to slick roads Saturday night into early Sunday. So if you have church services you're heading to on Sunday, you need to watch this one. We'll be monitoring this, let you know how this plays out. The good news is we're going to know by the time we get to, say, the 11 o'clock news Saturday night, we're going to know where that snow band is and whether or not the roads will indeed be icy or not for you guys for early on Sunday. If we see that trend, we may put an alert date for that so you guys are aware of it. Here is the Euro. Not every model is. The Euro is probably one of the more aggressive ones, to be honest, on that clipper moving in. Now, it has it more in southern Illinois and southern Kentucky than, say, central or Kentucky or southern Indiana. I do think in this case, the clipper may be a little bit more north than what is showing here. So that would put Louisville and I-64 a little more in the sweet spot for this one. And I think that will likely be the trend. It typically does happen with clippers. They do trend slightly north in the final 24 hours of forecasting before we get to it. So we'll see if that jog starts to develop. It may take until late Thanksgiving or on Friday to start to see any movement there. But if there's any little surprise that can happen with this snowfall, I think it would be more on the track than it would be the amount. But the track is important because it makes a difference on whether or not you have nothing outside and nothing falling and nothing on the ground versus a half inch, an inch of snow. Well, that's a whole different ballgame, especially if temperatures are in the teens and 20s. Yeah, that's going to make things a bit slick out there. If you don't have any plans this weekend to travel, then don't worry about it. Just enjoy it. Enjoy the flakes flying on by. What's interesting is if we do, say, get a coating of snowfall, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. The ground may stay coated into early next week, which is impressive for late November, early December to see that happen. And I tell you what, I was looking, you guys know you got to love your Facebook memories, right? My Facebook memory came up, and it was in 2010 on the 26th of November that we had our first measurable snowfall that came through. It was a light event under an inch that fell. And as I've been saying, 2010 has a lot of similarities to what's been happening here with this weather pattern. It has been for the fall too. And really even the summer season, 2010 has been standing out as the year to match it up with. And if that pattern holds, then we've got several more snow chances to track throughout the month. So we'll see. Weather does like to repeat itself in cycles, and this one may make sense. Okay, now here's where things get a little weird. I mentioned this. What day was this? What is today, first off? Wednesday? Okay, Monday. We talked about the Monday clipper for next week. It appeared in the data, the energy did. It didn't really show a clipper, but the energy was there. It then kind of get a little more disjointed, a little more hazy in the appearance of that energy dropping in yesterday on the data. And now today, at least the Euro is right back on track again with it moving in Monday morning. This one, actually, if you were to take this verbatim, this would be a bigger ordeal on snowfall for Monday than the Saturday night one would be. Now, no, the kids and teachers right now are like, oh, really? Your ears perked up. But at the moment, it's the only one. It's the only one that is showing that path that far south. They all have the energy, but just like yesterday, they are either really fast with it to the north or they're delayed with it and dive it more down to the south. The signal of it going right through here like the Euro has, well, it's kind of its own camp right now, but I do think it's worth mentioning because it was there on a lot of the data on Monday. So it wouldn't surprise me. This may kind of appear, disappear back and forth over the next few days. I still want you guys to not get caught off guard on another one that could move in on Monday. Right now, we're going to keep that chance at only 10%, but just because the data is more against it than for it. But as a snow lover, you got to hold on to that 10%. All right, after that, another one drops down, another clipper. This time around, we try to get some energy that wants to get involved out of Texas, but it's moving so fast they can't phase. They try really hard at the end of next week, but it's progressive and it moves right on by. We'll keep seeing this repeat itself until we change what is happening in the Pacific Ocean more than anywhere. Yes, we've got a block that is going on the Atlantic, but the Pacific, what is interesting here is we keep seeing energy that gets stuck into the southwest corner of the United States. As long as that hangs out there, what it is doing is it's allowing the ridge to pump up all the way into Western Canada, and these cold shots of air slide down on the eastern side in Canada on a repeating fashion. Once whatever is out here into the southwest gets rolled out into the eastern United States, gets kicked out of the four corners, well, then things may start to change for us, at least temporarily. And how that evolves is going to be a bit questionable. That would be mid-month that we're talking about, mid-December. The data wants to allow for such a strong push of the Pacific jet that it wants to move that low out of its little comfy spot. And once that happens, then we may see either a warm spell, maybe some rain and thunder, and then we may get back into this colder scenario again after that. So a lot of questions on mid-month. This pattern, though, is key. It's hard to break these, though. Once they get locked in, the models always seem to go way too fast on trying to pull us back out of it. So we got to go slow with any type of warming trend. And I caution everyone that's a weather watcher and you love watching weather models, the young meteorology minds that are out there, go slow in these patterns. Don't go fast on trying to reverse the pattern on a warm up, because cold air is heavy, it's slow, and the models just don't understand that entirely just yet. Okay, so that's the overall theme as we head between now and next week. Nothing big, but just enough to keep things interesting. So here's how the 10-day looks right now, how we're stacking it up. We'll go with about 40% for that batch of light snow as we head into your Saturday night, early Sunday, and we'll see how temperatures play out, because if we end up with that second clipper on Monday, then we're not going to get as cold Monday morning, and the wind chills may not get as brutal either because we have a cloud cover in the region. So that second potential clipper is key on just how cold we're talking, because if it's not there and the skies are clear, we're talking about teens for lows, wind chills into the single digits for a couple of mornings, and that is going to be really tough to deal with this early in the season. It's very unusual to see that. And then we just went with a modest warm up. The modeling was want to take us into the 50s. I think GFS is trying to push us into the 60s. Not buying it. I'm going to go with 40s for now, and we'll go with a light rain and or snow, maybe a mixture that could get involved at the end of next week. So there you have it. Nothing too wild coming our way, right? So I love it. Okay. Hey, Angela, watching from Illinois. Good. I'm glad you're making it safely up there. Appreciate that. Hello, how you doing? Welcome on YouTube there. I can't see your name. Where is it? Is it G Sater? Is that right? You're very welcome. Thank you for watching on YouTube. Appreciate it. Let's see. Hi, Shonda. How you doing? How are the lights ups around the area looking on Friday? Look, it's going to be cold and festive. It really is. Nothing impactful that it's going to cancel any events. I think we have light up Jeffersonville and Corden, right, this weekend. Light up Louisville and maybe Bardstown, I believe, is next week or the 7th of December, in that range. So we'll watch that period carefully down the road. But at least for the first round of light ups, it looks good. Just keep in mind on the Saturday night ones that there could be that clipper snow moving in the evening hours. So depending on how far you're going to drive, just stay close to the weather forecast. It will keep changing. I promise you it will. So this forecast until now, I don't think it's going to hold exactly at all. So keep checking back in. That's important. And we'll keep, it's up to us to update things, right? And we'll keep doing that. Hello. How are you doing? How does January look long term? To be honest, I haven't fully looked at January yet. Typically, these patterns do snap back like a rubber band, and we try to warm back up again. That wouldn't surprise me this happens, but I will look at that more once we get past these clippers coming our way. It's kind of been a little bit of a hectic week. I'm always looking way ahead. You guys know I'm looking at probably next June already. But this is very unusually busy for wintry weather right out of the gate. Okay, so I think everyone seems good. Charleston is Friday, or Charlestown is Friday night. Thank you, Shonda. I appreciate that. Let's see. One more question here. Dan, I'll take yours real quick. How does it look for the Hungry Turkey 5K in the morning? It looks chilly and cold at 9 o'clock, perhaps some drizzle, and temperatures will likely be into the upper 30s at that point for you guys on Dan. I mean, good running weather, but kind of drizzly outside. Not bad. Nothing that's going to be like the overnight hours of a steadier rain. That will be moving out by the time you get to the 5K, which is good. All right, guys. Sorry it's a short one today, but there's just so much to cover, and we're all getting ready here, too, obviously, for the holiday weekend. So we're getting everything ready for the travel setup this afternoon, although the roads have really been quiet. So I think a lot of people traveled yesterday based on the amount of road rage I saw yesterday trying to get home. I think it took me almost 90 minutes to get home yesterday. It's crazy. So I think yesterday was the rush, it seemed like. Today, so far, seems quiet. But we'll have an update on that coming up on midday at 11 o'clock. And we'll have more, of course, on that Clipper snow. I'm going to go through some of the data that's rolling in now. That if there's any modest changes, I'll let you know. Otherwise, I'll have a full report and your long range coming up today at midday and at noon. And, of course, the full report at 3 o'clock as well. All right, guys. If I don't see you guys tomorrow, have a happy Thanksgiving. Eat a lot of turkey for me. Tell me which dog you think is going to win the dog show. I'll see you guys on the flip side.